Remy is trying throughout the movie to become a chef. All of the subplots tie into the main plot. Remy's conflict with Django and the other rats ties in because Remy has to ask them for help at the end. Remy's relationship with Emile ties in because it is Remy's only motivation to pursue cooking as everyone else discourages it. Linguini and Colette's romance ties in by making Remy feel left out and serving as a source of conflict between Remy and Linguini. And Skinner being suspicious of Linguini having a rat ties in by causing Linguini to think that Remy is holding him back. The theme is that if you truly understand someone, then you won't get into conflict. This is seen with Remy and Linguini, Remy and Django, Remy and Ego, and Linguini and Colette. Once upon a time, there was a rat named Remy. Every day he dreamt of becoming a chef in contrast to the other rats. One day he ends up at Gusteau's restaurant. Because of that, he sees the opportunity to cook and trains Linguini. Once upon a time, there was a rat named Remy. Every day, he and Linguini cooked at Gusteau's restaurant and were very well received. One day, he discovers that Linguini is Gusteau's son, and therefore the heir to his restaurant. Because of that, the restaurant enjoys renewed popularity. Once upon a time, there was a rat named Remy. Every day, he and Linguini cooked at Gusteau's restaurant and were very popular. One day, Anton Ego announces that he is going to eat at the restaurant. Because of that, Remy and Linguini get into a heated argument. Because of that, Remy tries to raid the kitchen, until finally, Linguini reveals the truth and all of the staff quit. Because of that, Remy has to ask Django and the other rats for help. Until finally, Anton Ego enjoys the food, and writes a positive review of the restaurant, but it closes anyway. Because of that, Anton Ego starts investing in Remy and the other rats. Until finally, Remy, Linguini, and Colette start a new restaurant, which ends up being very popular. Here is the list of plot-relevant characters, and all of them have distinct roles in the plot. Remy, Emile, Django, Linguini, Gusteau, Skinner, Anton Ego, Colette, and the other chefs. Remy is presented with an opportunity to cook food in Paris, which actually moves him closer to his comfort zone, not farther. The ending is that Remy gets to be a professional chef, with the sacrifice he made being having to work with Linguini. However, Remy was always fully accepting of that fact, and he was actually the one who suggested it in the first place. Also, it doesn't really make sense that La Ratatouille becomes popular when everyone knows that rats cook the food, which is why Gusteau's closed down, and Anton Ego no longer has any credibility as a food critic. The story underwent significant changes after it was finished, such as making the roles of Skinner and Colette larger and Gusteau's role smaller. After building suspense by having several close calls with Remy being seen, the movie takes a sharp turn and has Skinner find out that Linguini was Gusteau's son, so the Remy being seen earlier can be ignored. Many of the film's plot points were inspired by real-life people and stories, such as the characters of Skinner and Colette, as well as Gusteau committing suicide. The story was first put on paper 7 years before the film's final release. At the time, most animated films with sentient animals as the main characters didn't focus on the animals' interaction with humans as the main plot point. Also, wild rats are almost universally disliked by humans, which also contrasts with animated films about sentient animals. Remy doesn't feel unmotivated at any point in the film. In fact, after his argument with Linguini, he instantly turns on Linguini and then turns back in the very next scene. The entire reason that the directors made the film was the outlandishness of rats working in a kitchen, which is the main reason that every one of the plot points happens. If I was Remy, I would not take my chances with going into the kitchen and getting caught, since that chance is very high. Relatively early in the movie, we see that Remy and Linguini can cook very well together, so there isn't really anywhere to go from there. Also, the reason that the plot moves forward is not that Skinner got suspicious of Linguini having a rat, but that Skinner found out that Linguini was Gusteau's son. This film was conceived 7 years before release, changed directors twice, and had significant script rewrites, yet the original concept wasn't changed. Remy's final test is that he had to cook for Anton Ego. However, that is something that he has been good at since the beginning of the movie, and he doesn't have any trouble doing it. It sure is convenient that A. Remy ends up at Gusteau's restaurant, B. Remy is not seen by any of the chefs, and C. Remy and Linguini and Colette decide to make ratatouille for Ego, despite having no knowledge of his childhood and the memories that it would bring back. As I explained in point 12, this film has these sentient animals as the main characters, building block but with a very creative twist. In fact, the design of the rats became less anthropomorphic as the film was developed. The concept of having everyone disapprove of what you want to do affects almost everyone in some way. Remy ends up at Gusteau's restaurant, gets an opportunity to cook through Linguini, impresses Anton Ego, and learns nothing. I can't tell how his personality or character change at all.